Ladies and gentlemen, buckle the hell up. This is Vaughn Sigmund, your business mechanic, co-founder of Results Driven Leadership, and coming at you with another high octane episode that's about to open a bunch of new doors to your leadership approach. You ready? Let me ask you a question. You know what keeps many business owners and executives up at night? Those superstar managers who's brilliant as hell, but toxic as poison to their team and peers. They could be the rainmaker who's also a soul crusher, the person with the invaluable skills and knowledge, but the personality who's making everyone miserable and avoids them like the plague. We often refer to them as difficult people. Hey, you business owners, CEOs, corporate executives, this is coming at you begging for your attention. Your employees, your team members are begging you to do something about this. Difficult people do not fix themselves. Difficult people have a huge impact that very often is under the water for you. You can't see it, but it's creating death by 1,000 cuts for your team members. And it slowly erodes the connection, the engagement that your team has with the organization. These people can be highly detrimental, but very valuable at the same time. Ever had the feeling of watching a human wrecking ball demolish your carefully built team culture? That's what you're watching. You're not alone. You're not alone, my friends. Often they're so valuable from a knowledge standpoint, an IP standpoint, but they're so difficult to talk to or correct, or they know everything. They're bristly. So you just avoid them. You just don't go there. It's not worth the effort. You've known you needed to do something about this. You need to correct them, correct it, or tell them to make the change, and you just don't. It's staggering to you. That's so distasteful to have to deal with this that you just don't do it. And you're not alone, my friends. Many in your position want to change this dynamic, but you want to change their dynamic, but you simply don't have the tools or the knowledge yourself to do so. You just have to let it happen. Yeah, not generally, but let's talk about that a little bit more. Often this bad behavior has this negative impact and it's gone on for so long, it's just become normal. It's normalized. You know how they are is often the excuse you have to give to peers and others, direct reports around their difficulty as a manager. And that's what today's show is all about. Don't sit on the sidelines letting this behavior and impact take its course. You don't have to. We're going to talk about the single best way to address it and correct it. You ready for this? You need to bring in a coach. You need to bring in an executive coach who is trained and experienced and has the tools and knowledge to guide troublemakers to self-realize and commit to changing and getting the improvement in their behaviors. It can happen. It does happen. I do it for a living. This may sound like a shameless plug, and to some degree it may be, but if it's not me, find somebody that can come in and work with this individual. It can be done virtually. It can be done in person, but it needs to be done. Someone who knows, has the tools, has the skill sets to bring out the needs in this person from the person and then start taking them down the course of improvement and change. Let's put some objective data into play. According to the International Coaching Federation, a whopping 87% of organizations believe that executive coaching delivers massive ROI. But here's the mind-blowing part. 2/3 of top leaders have never received any outside guidance, no training, no coaching, no direction from outside the organization. So they just do what they do, what they've learned from somebody else or what they've made up as they've gone. And because very often the difficult ones are so intolerable, they never get corrected. And we just live with it. It's where a coach comes in. Let me hit you with some data that'll make your CFO's calculator smoke. Companies that invest in comprehensive leadership development see a staggering 250% higher return than those who don't. I've got links to these statistics below. And get this, Deloitte, they found that organizations with strong learning cultures are 92% more likely to innovate and are 52% more productive. They figure out solutions. They fix problems. They're ahead of the curve. They're coming up with new ideas and solutions constantly rather than having to pull it out of them or force it out of them or legislate it. Your competition may already be figuring this out. So you might want to think a little harder about bringing in an expert. So today I'm going to show you what an expert can do. We're going to dive headfirst into the deep end and talk about coaching and coaching those specifically who seem absolutely positively uncoachable. And stick around because I'm unveiling something that could revolutionize your management team. My brand new 90-day manager to leader Jumpstart program that's going to transfer your company's DNA. More on that later. Let's get the party started. First things first. What makes some people so damn difficult to coach on your part? Why can elite NFL athletes, literally, these guys are millionaires, at the top of their game, how can they embrace coaching while your VP of sales acts like he's God's gift to business? I'm going to drop you a truth bomb here. I think this puts it in perspective. The Kansas City Chiefs, although they lost the last Super Bowl, they've still been to a lot of them. The Kansas City Chiefs have 53 players and 29 coaches. That's almost a 2-to-1 player to coach ratio. Why? Because champions love to win and winners crave coaching. They hunger for that edge. But in the corporate trenches, coaching often gets a little twisted. It's morphed into what looks like punishment very often, or another layer of management BS. What have I done wrong? Why are they coaching me? Nobody wants that. And it's just not true. Without clear parameters from the beginning and understanding from the beginning, coaching can feel just like another way of saying, do what I tell you to do, but I'm calling that development now. Here's the brutal reality. Most of your managers never asked to be managers. They're what we call accidental managers. They're technical superstars. They're very proficient and functional around the job that they do. They may be a great accountant. They may be a great production supervisor. They may be a great salesperson who got promoted because they were exceptional individual contributors, not because they have any clue how to lead humans. Think about that. They have no clue, never been taught it, but now you're asking them to do that. A mind-blowing 60% of new managers receive zero training before they step into a leadership role. Zero. Make mistakes, learn from those mistakes maybe. It's a trial and error method. And we wonder why 40% of them crash and burn in their first 18 months. That's a true number, but here's the rub. Most of them don't know they've crashed and burned. Why? Because we don't want to believe that, because of the tendency to externalize our challenges, their challenges. See, for most that are failing, they blame it on the people. They blame it on the team. It's hard to find good people, or this generation is so difficult to manage. They deflect the real driver of poor performance, which is weak leadership. And their boss accepts it because that's the easy thing to do. And it makes sense. Certainly practical to think that way. Who'd have thought? Yeah, people are hard. I hear about it all the time, but it only makes sense on the surface. There's always a deeper root cause. And the cause in this case is them. Let's get real. Let me tell you something that'll change your perspective forever. I love this quote. Knowing is the enemy of learning. Those are the words of Tom Chi. He's a former lead engineer at Google X. And I think it really strikes at the heart of these difficult, uncoachable people. Knowing is the enemy of learning. They know so much that they're not open to learning more. There's other aspects to what they must be doing, need to be doing to have the full impact on the organization. When your hotshot managers are busy being experts on what they already know, they're shutting down the possibility of personal growth. And their expertise becomes their prison. That's as far as they're going to go. And if you want to change the trajectory and turn these pains in the ass into an awesome role model, let's break down the 5 game-changing strategies that we deploy, coaches deploy, that will help coach even your most stubborn, brilliant jerks in the organization. But first, you have to find a coach you feel can be the catalyst to change. An outside third party who is trained, possesses the tools to effectuate the changes needed to make your difficult people positive, contributors to a change in their awareness to how their behaviors and habits impact others, and in many cases is actually slowing them down. So how does it work? Here are the 5 steps. Step 1, establishing openness. And this is where most leaders who try to coach these difficult people themselves completely screw the pooch. Look, awareness is the cornerstone of coaching relationships. You need to create a space where people can get real, not corporate speak real. There's many ways we can bring them there. One of the ways I love to utilize is a disc profile, which shows their behavior pattern. That's a great opening conversation, along with a 360, an anonymous 360 feedback session, where everybody who reports to them, their peers, their direct reports, the direct reports of their direct reports, their boss, all get to say in 17 leadership functions, skill sets, with a bunch of data points below that reveals how they're coming across to people. And it's anonymous. So these difficult people don't sway the opinions of others. And you get those two as a tool to get things started with, you're going to go down a pretty good road. And even in the absence of those two tools, a good coach can coax the truth out of difficult people. And this self-realization or aha, a good coach helps them build the value of that. I've done it. I've seen it done dozens and dozens of times. And the secret sauce is appreciative inquiry, asking questions from a place of genuine respect and zero judgment. Let me define what coaching will and won't cover right from the jump, because without this mutual input on goals, you're not coaching. You're just barking orders with a friendlier face. See, McKinsey found that companies that excel at openness and regular feedback are 3.5 times more likely to be top performers. Think about that, 350% better performance from simply creating a psychological safety. Your accidental managers don't know this stuff, folks. They're playing checkers while your real leaders, your competition's leaders, playing chess. So awareness and openness. Step 2, the power of permission, baby. Have you ever worked with someone who's completely oblivious to relationships, can't read a room to save their life? Permission is your golden ticket to a breakthrough. And that's where a coach comes in. When someone chooses to engage in coaching topics, they feel agency. They're not being dragged into the principal's office. They're not in trouble. They're stepping into the dojo to master their craft. That's the psychological shift that makes all this work. Permission transforms the conversation from you need fixing to let's grow together. And that, my friends, is leadership alchemy at its finest. See, Gallup found that employees who feel their opinions count at work are 4.6 times more likely to feel empowered to perform their best work. That applies to managers too. That's the difference between an accidental manager who dictates and a true leader who collaborates. One creates compliance and the other creates commitment. Step 3, finding agreement. And this is where the rubber meets the road. Listen up, because this is crucial. Mutual agreement is what separates coaching from garden variety management. In traditional management environments, one-on-ones typically involve setting objective goals. This is what you need to sell. This is what you need to produce. This is your quality score. And then that manager telling their direct reports what to stop and start doing. It's very transactional. That does not work for changing the behaviors of a difficult person. You can't tell them what to change and they go change it. Not going to work. It's where external coaches who are trained at this will set a much more subjective goal around things like EQ, awareness of the impact that they have on others, how their current approach is slowing them down. In coaching, you develop these agreements to change in behaviors that will make the coachee's job easier and make them more effective, which they are very apt to do. They will be able to operate with a feather, not a hammer, looking for a nail. The coach and the coachee will co-create the results together. Partnership is the name of the game here. Your uncoachable superstar, your difficult superstar needs to feel like they have skin in the game, not just targets to hit. A fascinating study from Corporate Executive Board found that companies with strong leadership development programs saw a 25% increase in business outcomes. Directly tied to those agreements between coaches and managers and then to their employees' transformational triangle change. Wall Street Journal reported that organizations that prioritize leadership development see a 37% higher revenue per employee. Tell me that's not worth investing in. Strategy 4, discovering the possibilities. This is where the real magic happens, discovering possibilities. Work for some can be soul crushing. It's a cycle of procedures and metrics and doing things right. That's management. But doing the right things, that's leadership gold. And when performance gaps aren't knowledge gaps, coaching helps identify the real blockage. If someone needs to adjust procedures, a management conversation. But if you want to ditch toxic behaviors, crush this procrastination, difficulty, spark innovation, ignite motivation, got to put in the coach. Remember what I said earlier, knowing is the enemy of learning. And your accidental managers are clinging to what they know. That's their safe environment. That's their 72-degree room. And they're terrified of it getting too hot or too cold because that's what they don't know. And that is typical human avoidance. It's the rare breed who identifies that as themselves and goes seeks their own help. You've got to help them. And as you bring in the coach and your managers transition to become true leaders, they create this beautiful space of possibility thinking and positive thinking and interactions, respect. Strategy 5, building accountability. Without this, everything falls apart. Let's get something straight. Support is the opposite of pressure and expectation. I hear about this all the time, the burnout epidemic, because people are drowning under the pressure of success and hitting metrics without building support systems. Creating space for honest feedback within accountability is the antidote to burnout. But here's the kicker. Sometimes you need a third-party perspective. That's your coach, someone who can listen without judgment. In a coaching environment, vulnerability becomes strength. I've seen how coaching with accountability unites teams and builds the symbiotic relationship between departments like wildfire. We build relationships that transcend organization charts. And let me be crystal clear, coaching is not therapy. It's not some woo-woo event. It's not a cure-all for every workplace dysfunction either. But when it's done right, and when permission is granted and objectives are mutually agreed upon, radical honesty becomes a rocket fuel for performance. Organizations hungry for higher performance, improved workplace environments, less infighting, less passive aggression, higher team engagement, and retention through coaching isn't just a nice thing to have. It's the difference between mediocrity and excellence. Huge payback for this stuff. And speaking of excellence, this may be the perfect time to tell you about something I've been perfecting for months now. I'm incredibly excited to announce my brand new 90-day Manager to Leader Jumpstart program. This isn't your typical leadership training. It's not the leadership training that typically we utilize over a year. It's a jumpstart. This is an intensive, no BS transformation program designated specifically for your accidental managers. Remember I talked about most of them have never been trained to lead? This is going to get them there. This is going to jumpstart them to the path of leading. That they just don't know what they don't know. And it takes those technical superstars who got promoted without a single day of leadership training into tremendous results-driven leaders. Let me hit you with some brutal facts. DDI research shows that 57% of companies report their biggest challenge is transforming high-performing individuals into effective leaders. You're not alone. And in just 90 days, we'll equip your managers with knowledge, skills, and tools that they need to build a foundation of self-leadership, create team leadership. You'll learn how to build high-performing teams, communicate like a pro, coach your team members through challenges, handle conflicts like they're no big deal. And in month 3, we'll teach them organizational leadership, how they'll expand their impact by mastering change, sparking innovation, managing stakeholders, and creating your vision for the future. The numbers don't lie. Companies who invest in leadership development see a 24% increase in profit margins and a 218% increase in revenue per employee. I don't see how you can afford not to develop your leadership bench. And we've distilled in this program decades of leadership experience into a program that delivers immediate ROI. No fluff, no theory, just practical, actionable strategies your managers can implement from day one. Remember, knowing is the enemy of learning, and your accidental managers don't know what they don't know. So that's it for today's episode. Even your most difficult, challenging team members can be coached and improved if you have the right coach with the right tools and approach. Parting shot of data for your decision-making brain. The Association for Talent Development found that companies offering comprehensive training programs enjoy a 218% higher income per employee. Why would you not want that? And if you want more information on our new 90-day Manager to Leader Jumpstart program that transforms these accidental managers into intentional leaders, click on the link in the show notes and sign up for information about the program. We're accepting applications for our next session now, and we're proud to say spaces are filling up pretty fast. So jump on it. Love to have the opportunity to work with you. Until next time, this is Vaughn Sigmund reminding you, fix the machine, not the symptoms. Your business is counting on you. Now go get after it.